Hello. Welcome to another episode of the ORG podcast. I believe this is episode number 4. This is being pre-recorded beforehand. But our guest today is Charles Berson of JC Ortho Lab. He has been gracious enough to come aboard and let me interview him and found out more about him. Let me go ahead and add him in. Okay, there we go. Hello. Oh, it's Chuck. Do you go by Chuck?
My friends, yeah, you guys are my friends, so you guys can call me Chuck.
Oh, okay. Oh, awesome. I didn't realize you don't know this, but my first name is Charles. And my dad goes by Chuck.
Oh,
so I can't go by Chuck because my dad goes by Chuck, but I'd go by my middle name Cade anyway, so that kind of works out. But thanks for joining the podcast. I'm interested to hear your story, and there are some interesting tidbits you've already told me, so I'm interested in doing that. So you are in a fancy room right now with your background. Yeah. If y'all don't know, he's very, very rich. No, I'm kidding. But anyway, what I usually start out with is where the very first question is, what was your first introduction to the orthodontic laboratory?
when I was 16 years old, my friend was an ortho tech. He was an apprentice for an in-house. It was at the time it was a 2-doctor in-house lab, and he apprenticed. And the guy who he apprenticed with, I believe his name was Bob. I don't know if Bob K might ring a bell. I don't know if that's not speaking the right name, but my old boss, Andrew, and it's funny, the name of his lab was Precision Orthodontics, which there seems to be a lot of precision.
There seems to be a lot of those, yeah.
Yeah, this was Precision Ortho, started in Brooklyn, and we moved to Staten Island. We were worked in the basement of an orthodontic office, and I was 16 years old, and my friend's like, "Hey, do you want to come grind some miles up?" And I said, "I'm not doing anything better right now."
So these are study models?
No, it wasn't study models. Just work
models.
Models.
Okay,
just
work models.
We went from work models, and then I set we made all our retainers in the BioStar.
Oh, made retainers using the BioStar as the acrylic.
Yeah, and I still have the 1964 BioStar that.
Oh my gosh!
Maybe from that office. I'm not.
I have a BioStar 2, which I think was made in 1987. So, and still going.
Yeah, but knock wood, mine is still working pretty well.
Yeah,
too.
Yeah, those things are bulletproof.
Yeah, so I mean, there's no timer on it. There's no computer to it.
Right.
But, I have a little stopwatch I keep with it, and but I don't make retainers in the BioStar anymore. When you're mixing when you had to mix the salt and pepper or whatever, it was just faster to just do it salt and pepper and put it in the pot for me.
And then if you get good enough with that, you can get really where you don't need to trim much,
Right.
If you get good enough with the salt and pepper technique. So you started, you said grinding models, and then you moved on to the BioStar.
Yeah, BioStar, and then it was great because I used to sit there. I mean, I was 16, so maturity wasn't all there. But I used to cut the discs out and throw them in the trash, see how many I can get in the trash can on the first shot.
Oh, like frisbee style across the
frisbee style. And I mean, God only knows. I didn't wear gloves or anything, and they were lead beads at the time.
Oh yes, that's right. Yeah.
So, I'm sure we're going to violate some kind of warranty, but after a while, my old boss used to get buckshot. Buckshot for the beads.
Yeah, I could totally see that working for the beads. I've seen a whole rice.
I've seen people use rice.
Yeah, and so I've heard of buckshot, and there was something else, BBs out of a BB gun.
Oh yeah. So I was doing the BioStar. I was doing all the acrylic, and I mean, my old boss was smart because he trained me for acrylic, and then he hired another lady for wire bending, but he never cross-trained us.
Oh, y'all could never. Yeah.
Because I know a lot of our issues, our issues being, ortho lab owners is trying to find people who are really good quality people to work with us, but then they end up going out on their own. Like I eventually went out on my own as well. So if you only train somebody halfway, they're kind of chained to the bench,
right?
Or really chained to the bench.
But then you run into the problem: if someone's sick, they can't step
Exactly.
into the shoes, so it's bad.
And it's funny. We talked about study models. Well, we outgrew the basement at the orthodontist office.
And this was in Brooklyn?
In Brooklyn, yes.
Okay.
So every time my boss wanted more money from his from the doctors, and they decided they'd get one of their friends to send him some work.
Oh, wait.
Instead of working for more money, we just had to work more, more money with new accounts.
Yeah.
So we eventually outgrew the basement at this doctor's office in Brooklyn, and we ended up working at my boss's house in his basement.
Oh, from basement to basement.
From basement to basement, from Brooklyn to Staten Island.
Yeah. So that was Brandon's last week. That was Brandon's story. Basement to basement.
Basement to basement.
Yeah.
Well, remind me though, because I want to say something about Tiffany also with Destination Ortho Lab.
Yeah.
That leads into me being in Florida, because like Tiffany was saying, she loves the beach and she loves the Florida lifestyle. And I went to school. Actually, it's funny. Me and Chris Jazuski both went to University of Miami. I just missed him by a couple of years.
No way. Yeah, that's right. He did journalism degree. What was your degree?
Well, I was a business major until I wasn't, and then I was a photo major, and then I didn't graduate from Miami. I graduated from Brooklyn College.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
You know what? They were Miami were national champions that year. Well, the whole couple of years, and I tailgated a lot too much, and I was in the scuba club and the sailing club.
Oh my gosh!
The library I missed the library.
Oh yeah. You just kept walking past it, going to the next tailgate party.
Exactly. So for all the money I was spending at my parents were spending at Miami, I decided to go home and go and hit the books and be more serious about school.
Yeah. So what'd you end up graduating with at Brooklyn? Was it photography?
I have a Bachelor of Arts. Actually, I graduated as a history major.
Oh my gosh!
Completely unrelated to dental, but I never, there was unlimited overtime at the lab.
Yeah.
So I just kept working. Whenever I was gonna think about maybe switching jobs, do something different, because my boss would complain all the time about how hard business was.
Yeah.
How we have to put in such long hours, and that nobody wants to pay the bills, and it's the ortho lab business. I mean, I know all business is difficult, but I think this is more so because we're putting our lives into it. We are artists. We're craftsmen. There's a great Rush song about being an artist, and I forgot the name of the song, but it's really helped me get through some dark nights with the business.
Well, and that's why we do this podcast. Like I've said before, there's somebody out there at midnight bending wires right now, and they're listening to this podcast, and they're like, "I'm not alone," or
right.
They're running 100 technician laboratory, and they're in their office late at night trying to balance the books, listening to the podcast, going, "Hey, I started there," and it's a different set of problems for me. But yeah, we're all not alone in this. So yeah, did you do ortho while you're in Miami?
No, when I was in Miami, I didn't. But my old boss held the job for me.
Oh wow!
And, I guess it was a blessing and a curse all at once.
Yeah,
how the gangsters say I was out and they pulled me back in.
Yeah. So you disconnected the ball and chain, but it was there when you got back and just clasped right on your ankle. Get back to work.
Well, you know what though, my old boss, him and I were real good friends, and we always had a good time working together. We always had music going. We always had good
Oh,
conversations going.
that's makes working in the lab in these long hours worth it. Getting the music going and having some great conversations. I
Um,
remember talking with one of my bosses, and we got into YouTube conspiracy theories, and we were just comparing notes and stuff. It was fun. We had a blast.
well, it took its toll on my marriage. I mean, I'm skipping around but he was about an hour commute for me,
Oh,
and I
two Staten Island.
was down an island. Yeah, it was
Okay.
it was about 45-minute commute. I mean, if I'm not sure if you ever seen New York City traffic or not,
Oh,
but
I've seen pictures. Yeah, it
um,
looks
it, it's
miserable.
yeah, it's terrible. So and the Verrazano Bridge, I think it's up to like $18 now to cross. But
Well,
even
that's
then,
yeah. I
even
heard
then,
that they're
very
doing
expensive.
that to another bridge, right? They're adding a toll
I
to
think yeah, they're
another
making a
bridge.
convenience fee to get into the city.
Yeah, yeah. I was like, oh, that's gonna. I guess that will. That's one way of reducing traffic.
Yeah. So uh, where was I? Oh, so I would leave for work about like 6:15 in the morning, and I wouldn't get home till about 9 o'clock at night.
I know
And
that. Yeah.
and we had a newborn, and
Yes.
it was very very difficult. And I didn't, another thing about our being self-employed, being a small self-employed business, health insurance is extremely hard to figure
Mm-hmm.
out. So my wife, ex-wife, she was a registered nurse. So I had to work around her schedule sometimes. Well, when I went into my own business, I had to work around
Right.
her schedule just for the benefits, the health insurance, and um,
Her job took priority for the health
yeah,
insurance. Yeah.
yeah, which was hard because I would make deliveries. I'd make pickups and deliveries. I'd always. It's funny because people who know me for a long time in the dental labs around where I had my business, they would always joke around, "Hey, no more kids are coming with you," because I used to always have a bag of work, and then I'd have my the
Oh my
baby
god.
and the chair, in the car seat coming in with me.
That and that's one of the blessings of the lab is it's flexible like that. You can work with your kids. A lot of kids have grown up in the lab, so that and I'm sure they went on deliveries with their dads or moms.
Yeah, well, it's kind of funny. I guess I spent so much time complaining about the how rough the business was that none of them. I have 5 kids and none of them are interested in coming to the lab.
They're like a lesson learned, Dad. Okay, we
Yeah,
get it. Yeah, you're telling us to go away.
no, now especially since well, let me get back. I jump around a lot,
Well,
but
yeah. So you're working in Staten Island,
working in
driving
Staten
an
Island.
hour to get there.
Um, my boss decides that he wants to try to maybe get out of the business. He got a job with New York Sanitation, which was full benefits, full
Oh
pension and
wow,
health insurance and
yeah,
everything. And so we decide that maybe he's going to sell me the business. Like we're in contracts for me to buy the business. And anyhow, long story short was that it didn't work out. And it wasn't about money. It was actually turnaround time because he was going to do wire work for me. Also not on site. Like I was going to be in the lab and he was going to be out in Pennsylvania. And he was going to do wire work there and ship it back and forth using UPS.
right. It's been done before.
Yeah.
Sometime.
So that put the
Yeah.
seed in my head too that maybe our locations maybe not that important.
Right.
Like
Right.
as long as your clients are happy, I'm not sure if it really matters where we are doing what we're doing.
100%. I'm out in the middle of the country, and I've maybe had one or two doctors or staff come to the lab for some reason or another. So yeah, I don't think location is that big a deal, except for being in the nexus of your deliveries. But if you're doing UPS, you know,
Right.
it's very much a mobile lab if you want it to be, which we'll get into in a little bit, going down
So
your timeline.
um, we ended up parting ways, not amicable at the time.
Oh,
And so I said, hey, you know what? At the time I was 28, so I had already been in the business for a while. And I decided that I was going to go out on my own.
What, were you cross trained?
No, well, I went to Great Lakes for a week.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
Dan Miller. Dan Miller, I think it
Yes.
was 1993 maybe. And I
Yeah.
went up to Buffalo or Tonawanda. And
Yes. Yes.
I just remember being cold. I went in January, and it was I think it was January or February, and I remember freezing, and even even Niagara Falls was like frozen over.
Oh, that's that cold. Holy cow.
Yeah, it was cold,
Yeah.
and it was dark and gray. It was like just like gray, north kind of weather. And but the people I met were great. I wish I had saved some of the contacts that I met
Well,
there.
I was going to say, I got an email saying they're starting in-person classes up again.
I know,
'Cause
which
they had
is great.
stopped. Yeah, and I want to get what's his last name? Wilson? No, what's the name you just said? Dan.
Oh, Dan Miller, he actually passed away.
Yeah, who the other one that's in charge of that? But anyway, I want to get him on the podcast because there are a lot of
that would be
people,
good.
especially on the East Coast, that got their training through Great Lakes.
Well, you know what? I wish that I knew about the Dentorum class because, I moved from from Brooklyn to South Jersey.
Okay,
I
yeah,
decided, I had started my own lab, and I was renting space at a denture Crown Bridge lab in Brooklyn. I was paying him, and I was paying rent, and I figured between my two rents, if I got the house in South Jersey, I would just work in the basement, and between two rents were the mortgage payment.
Oh wow. Okay.
So that worked out pretty great. And most of the accounts were pretty good. Most of the accounts didn't mind because I was making my own deliveries when I was in Brooklyn. And when I moved to Staten Island, when I moved to South Jersey, I was doing UPS for everything. And
Okay.
none of the accounts really cared.
Yeah. Yeah. As long as they got there on time. That's the important thing.
There was a couple of guys who were mad that I was charging shipping and handling and then.
Right. You were delivering for free. Why?
Yeah.
Why
Yeah,
are you doing this
exactly.
now? It's like, well, I would charge a delivery charge now.
Right. Well, you know what the thing is about delivering is at least if you're doing your own deliveries, you're in front of them, and you can tell them, "Hey, I'm doing scented appliances now," or, "I have this. I'm making 3D night guards on the printer." And like when I'm in my garage working, nobody knows what I'm up to.
Oh yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Exactly.
And it's funny too, like Brandon said about the meth lab. Like people are like, what do you do all day long?
Yeah.
Don't worry about it.
Yeah. Turn off the lights before you raise the garage door.
Yeah.
You can't see in here.
Yeah, I don't care for people to like see what I'm up to in here. So, so from Brooklyn, I rented space at a denture Crown Bridge lab, and it was a pretty good place. But
Is that the picture I have?
No, you have the picture of the Florida.
Oh, okay.
So I moved to South Jersey, and I was working out of my house in the basement. And I was telling you previously that every time the phone rang in the laboratory, like I could hear it through the floor, or the heating vents, or whatever. And then I'd hear the machine go off because we didn't have the same, we had old-fashioned answering machines back in the day.
Yeah, with the tape on there,
And
yeah.
if you were lucky enough, you had a little thing where you could hold the phone up to it and you could retrieve your messages.
Oh wow!
It wasn't
Oh
even
wow!
like touch tone, like a digital thing, whatever.
Right.
So I'd hear people say, "Oh, where's our case?" or "This case is late," or "This one didn't fit," or whatever. And I was trying to juggle the business with being a father, and it was always so stressful when I heard the office phone ring, even if it was just for a pickup.
Yeah. You never know what's on the other end of that line.
Exactly. You never know what's on the other line. So,
and it's rarely you're the best lab we ever used.
Yeah.
That was
Generally,
the best.
Usually, thank God I've gotten calls saying, "Hey, this worked out great. This fit right away. There was no problems or whatever." But most of the time, it's always something has gone wrong with something that you get a phone call.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So,
Yeah. No news is good news is what we say around
no
here.
news is good news, exactly. So then I started growing, and I had to hire an employee, and having an employee in my house using the bathroom and the kitchen, and so it was time to get out of the basement.
Oh yeah.
And so I had a really nice place, and so that was in South Jersey in Barnegat.
That was South Jersey. You were in the basement.
Of my
you
house.
of your house. But when were you in the Crown and Bridge? Leasing?
So the pictures I sent you.
Yeah. Was
Okay,
that
so
the Harry Potter room?
yeah, we're coming to that. So now, I moved a couple of times in Barnegat to a bigger place. Right now, it kind of looks like it's a kind of a warehouse, but it's great because it's got a garage, big giant garage door that we could open up and get fresh air.
Yeah, yeah.
In the spring and summer and the fall, and it's a really nice place. I have my office manager and 3 technicians that work in the Jersey lab.
Oh,
So, it's still open, it's still running, and I have the office manager. I have my head technician and the office manager. They do the quality control for me, and
okay.
generally, I never hear from anybody anything bad about the quality, so that's generally pretty good. So getting, I know I'm not sure about our time frame, but when I heard Tiffany speak about how she loved Florida and beaches and wanted to be by the water, that was my dream the whole time. I actually reached out to Don Inman maybe 12 years ago, and I said, hey, I have my lab in Jersey, but someday I'm going to be in Florida.
You just reached out to him to tell him that?
Well,
I'll be your neighbor.
I was hoping. I reached out to a couple of Florida guys because I was hoping. You know what? Running a business is very stressful, as you know.
Yeah.
And sometimes I think I would be happier if I just went to be a technician someplace.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Now I've experienced that also. The stress free of a constant paycheck coming in. And not this stuff.
Right.
Is
like,
great.
Yeah. So like worrying, like school just let out, and especially like in Jersey, like it seemed like all my accounts, like since school let out, nobody was going to the orthodontist.
Oh, it kind of took a little dive. Yeah.
And so, and now that I have, everybody who I have to make sure, I'm not even there to know if I should ask people not to come in if it's not busy enough.
Oh yeah. Oh, that's
let me see how many work pans we got on the shelf.
Yeah. Show. Okay, we're kind of skipping ahead. Let me show this picture you sent me.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So I decided I was going to move to Florida last year. We closed on the house the end of last June. So,
and you were in South Jersey with your lab.
Yes.
And is this in Florida? This is in Florida. Okay.
This is in Florida. So I reached out to a bunch of denture labs, Crown and Bridge labs, because Ortho, we're not really competitive with.
Right.
Until recently, with the Crown and Bridge denture labs making Essex retainers,
right,
trying to move teeth, we haven't traditionally been very competitive with denture labs.
Yeah, but we share a lot of the equipment of a denture lab. Yeah,
exactly. So my old boss says, you know what? Instead of you renting a place down in Florida for $1,000 a month or $1,200 a month, why don't you call around some denture labs and see if maybe you can rent some space there? So I called around to I think 3 or 4 denture labs, and a couple of guys were super nice. A couple of guys didn't know what I wanted or whatever. And the one lab called and said, hey, you know what? We have some space right now. We're just using it for storage. Why don't you come check it out? So I had sent all my, as you could tell in the picture, everything's pretty much brand new.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's all clean.
Yeah,
nice.
It's all brand new. So all the stuff that I bought, I had shipped to this lab down here by me. And so I said, well, how much is it going to be per month? And I guess, they said, well, let's just wait and see how it goes.
Oh, really? That's scary.
Yeah. So it wasn't a great business move on my end. I just knew I didn't want to work in the house.
Right.
Like,
Okay. Yeah.
I didn't want to work in the house. I like people. I like working with people. I also figured that I'd be an asset to a denture lab because I can do repairs.
Right.
And if they're not doing ortho, they certainly can offer. They could have offered orthodontic work, and I'd be happy to do it. So yeah, as you see, it's like kind of like a closet there, and I call it the Harry Potter room because I'm not sure if everybody's seen the movie Harry Potter, but Harry Potter lives under the steps in his aunt and uncle's house.
That's right. I forgot about that.
So when I got there, I had all my stuff waiting there for me, and I had to just set everything up. And I felt like it was my first day of school, like my first day of like third grade at a different school where I didn't know anything. And like I was the odd man out, basically.
Oh, that's funny. I see in the background through that window the you can tell it's a denture lab because those are all the teeth shelves, drawers. So that's where. Did you go reserve this room before you actually moved down there, or were you already moved to Florida?
Well, I was moving to Florida already, but I had hoped that I was going to secure a place to work at that wasn't in my house, and that wasn't going to cost me a fortune.
So, tell me about this thought process of, can I run a lab from 1,500 miles away? Was it the whole thing that you can ship and the doctors really doesn't care as long as the appliances arrive on time?
Technology. Like
we talked about that. Yeah.
Yeah. So I watched Brandon's podcast with you a couple of times now, and having robots like the technology. I'm a big user of Easyrx.
Yep. Yeah.
And I'm trying to get all my accounts to use Easyrx. Everything, most of my accounts now are scanning the model, scanning the patient, and sending us the models. So when I realized Easyrx was on the cloud, my billing software is on the cloud. I'm like, well, I can print anywhere. Like I could take my Form 3 printer and have it anywhere, as long as I have Wi-Fi connection. It doesn't really matter. And when I get the doctor, I check constantly where the scans come in. I have I'm mostly doing Holy retainers in my Florida lab. Mm-hmm. In the Jersey lab, we're doing mostly fixed cases up there.
Oh wow, okay.
It's really kind of hit or miss right now. It's trial and error. But let me finish with that. The Harry Potter room only lasted for a month.
Whoa, really?
I don't really know why. When we found out, when I found it, I don't know. I was super quiet. I did use their polishing machine. I did use their pressure pot, their compressor. And they said it was fine. And so I was just. I think they figured that I wouldn't be doing as much work as I was doing.
Oh, okay.
I'm not quite really sure what happened. So I had to break down the whole place. Like I threw all the boxes out. I threw out the box for the lathe, the box, you see all that stuff there. I had to luckily my wife's got a Honda, she had a Honda CRV. So I just made a couple of trips back and forth to the lab. But after setting it up and having to break it down, and then I was in panic mode trying to set up again in my garage.
Right. Yeah.
So, and I think you do have a couple of pictures of my garage too.
Yeah. Yeah. We can, let's see.
Yep. That's my new setup. So it's not much different from the closet, except that I have my own space now. I can put my own music on and do my own thing.
Yeah. This looks great. That's what and Brandon talked about having those husky tables, and that looks like a top of husky table like that.
Yep. Yeah, I think, and I'm doing a shameless plug for Priscilla, but there's all her JBC acrylics right there next to my Great Lakes box.
Oh yeah, when I saw it in this picture, big old 5-pound thing of of clear. That's what I use too. I order it in 5-pound buckets.
Well, you know what? Being especially being in Florida, it's very humid here. It's hot and humid, and I don't like the chances with stuff going bad.
Oh yeah, and that affects the setup time too. Hot and humid.
Actually, I like. I always say if you got to train people to do acrylic, train them in the wintertime.
Yes, yeah,
and then, for me, I like to do it when it's hot and humid because it sets up so quick. I don't have any slumping or anything.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, and you could just blow through them real quick because in the winter, sometimes I'm going so fast I can't put it in the pressure pot yet. I set it to the side and I start the next one and I start the next one and then you're just working a train as you go.
Right.
So let's see. I got there's a hot water heater.
Picture is before the air conditioner was installed.
Oh, I think I saw a picture. You put a mini split in, right?
Yes. Yep.
Yeah, I see it right there. So, I'll bet that made a big difference.
Well, getting kicked out of the lab, the denture lab in September, it's still pretty hot in Florida, and we still had hurricane season.
Oh.
And, so besides for being annoyed that I was misplaced, now I'm working in 85, 90 degree weather in the garage.
Oh yeah. Oh, holy cow. That's crazy. Yeah.
I work with the door closed because I don't really want the neighbors. I don't want them peeking around in here.
It probably just looks like you're doing a hobby.
Or a meth lab.
Yeah, or a meth lab. Yeah.
You know what? Even with the 3D printer, I mean, there's so many applications that you could use your 3D printers for. That you really could do anything besides making dental models.
Oh yeah, gun parts or something.
Yeah, that's that's the biggest question everybody always asks me. Oh, can you make gun parts? I'm like, no.
Yeah. Welcome to Florida. Welcome to Texas.
I printed 3 things that I probably shouldn't have printed. One was an anchor, a ship's anchor with the ship's wheel, and then I'm guilty of printing that Bernie Sanders sitting on the chair, and also
with his mittens on.
Yeah, I printed the Bernie Sanders, and I printed a Trump one also. I figured. If I was going Bernie Sanders, I'd had to equal it out with some Trump action.
Yeah. You just start putting them up on your little mannequins of each one of them. That's hilarious.
Yeah.
So talk me through you log into Easyrx every day.
Yep.
And you take the Holly ones pretty much, and then your lab in New Jersey takes the fixed ones.
Yes.
Okay. And then you print them, bend them, sprinkle them, trim them, all that stuff, and then ship them to...
Depending on my time frame. At first, I was shipping them back to the Jersey lab, so they could just quality control it and send it out and bill it out from Jersey. And then with time constraints, I started shipping it directly from here. From Florida.
And they really don't know the difference, depending on the label, I guess.
Yeah, the label has my return address here. I don't make a big deal over it. Nobody seems to care as long as the stuff's on time. I don't think it's an issue.
That is, man, that is amazing. Let's see, I got another.
A hurricane, though. The hurricane we had a hurricane come through Port St. Lucie, I think October. And that we didn't have UPS for 2 days, and that put a little monkey wrench in my operation down here.
Can they do in a pinch? Can the New Jersey lab do Hollies?
Yes. Yep.
Oh, that's great. That's the ultimate cross training.
Yeah, I mean the people that my team they're terrific. They're really terrific. The people that I'm working with, I have one of my technicians. She's been in the industry probably 30 years, probably longer than me. She worked as an in-house lab tech also in Toms River, New Jersey. So she's been. I think that the people who I've come in contact with mostly have been complete angels. Just been great people. I know you and Jason had talked about. Jason had trained one of my technicians.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. Let me start this story. I was talking about my old boss, Jason. He was going to come to the lab. He's close to me. He's like an hour from me, and he we talk sometimes on the phone. Don't burn bridges in this laboratory, right? In this industry, because it's never burn bridges.
Everybody knows everybody.
Yeah. So I've always, whenever I turned in my resignation to him to open my own lab, I was doing the same thing. I was driving an hour there, working 12, 14 hours, driving an hour back. I had a newborn, so she was asleep when I left, and she was asleep when I got back. So I explained to Jason, I was like, listen, I got to reopen my lab again. And he was cool with it. And I said, listen, I won't give you 2 weeks. I'll give you 3 months notice. So I'll work with you to the end of the year. So he was grateful for that. So we're still good friends. He's actually been on my channel, and I've interviewed him. But, he said he trained someone. Are they from New Zealand?
Yes. Yep.
Yeah. And he goes, he moved to New Jersey, and he's working some JC Ortho lab or something like that. I was like, that guy's coming to the conference. And he goes, I was like, man, you got to give him a hard time about poaching your work, or that you're going to steal him back or something like that. So he came up to you at the conference, right?
Yep. Yeah, really nice. I apologized to him. I said, my Leslie, my other technician, she's been with me for so long, and she's been a godsend, but she wants to slow down. She wants to start enjoying life. I'm not going to give her age away, but she's a little older than I am. And so she wants to slow up. And the day she told me that she was giving me like 3 years notice, say, look, I want to retire. I had gotten an email from Damon saying that they really hated the Texas weather.
Yeah,
it's hot and humid, and they're like a colder climate. And was I looking for somebody? And it was
that's great.
I'm like, come on up. I don't.
And Jason said he was like really talented. Took to training well talented. And stuff. So and he hated to see him go.
Something that Brandon said on the last podcast. Damon he's an artist.
Yes,
he's a graphic artist, and I really believe that when we advertise, when we meaning all of us guys, or lady, everybody in our field, artistic is like maybe one of the first things you should ask somebody. Hey, how are you with 3D dimensions and stuff? I had a young lady who was an incredible artist, and she learned wire bending faster than anybody I've ever met, and she was way better than me. She was incredible, and but she I think also artists are very temperamental.
Yes, yeah. They would rather be doing their craft than working. But the working pays the bills. Exactly. Unfortunately, for most artists, they can't make a living off of what they do. But it's so close to because we hired an artist one time. He was actually going to university on an art degree, and he was our acrylic guy, and he took to it like nobody's business and was fast. And along those same lines. And here I think I have let's see if I can. This is us at the conference, and you're right in the middle, about third row up, and I don't see Jason. But many people watching this live stream will see themselves in here. Yeah. I'm hiding behind. I think that's Tiffany's employee right there. I didn't have my shirt on. I didn't have it with me, but I'm on the very back row next to Jay, and so you can only see like this. I'll look like this.
Yeah, I'd have to look at this to see if I can find you.
Yeah, so top row toward the right. Do you see Michael Wright? He's about... do you see Lance?
I see Chico. Let's see.
Wait, where's Chico?
Chico is in the second row. Towards the right.
Oh, okay, yeah. And then above him and over his left shoulder is... Wait, do you see Lance right next to him? Is that Chico right next to Lance? It's kind of hard to see. We're both like staring at this picture. I wish I could zoom in. That would be great. But anyway, what I don't think Jason's in this picture. But he was actually wearing a shirt with.
Oh, that was a genius.
Yeah,
idea.
Yeah.
He had a shirt saying, if you're looking for a job, if you want to learn how to wire bend, give us a call, right?
Yeah, and had a QR code on the back of his shirt, and they could just scan it. And so if there were technicians there that wanted to work, he didn't want to poach anybody's.
Right.
You know, like someone named Chuck that we know that poaches. No, I'm kidding.
Well, I did actually. I did apologize to him. I had said that. I didn't reach out to Damon. Damon found me.
Yeah, and I think that was Jason's suggestion to him. You know, you want to get to a cooler climate. There's labs hidden all over the place. You just got to know where to look for them, which basement to look into.
Yeah, what rock to turn over.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, for me, most I know probably for all of us, it's so hard because when you finally find somebody who's good and you train them, then they don't last. A lot of people don't last too long.
Yeah. Yeah, like you said, the artists who are usually the most talented are, I don't want to say flaky, but they tend to be a little hard to handle, like a Ferrari, you know?
Exactly.
They're awesome and they drive fast, but then they sometimes break down a lot. And it's hard to find those Chevy, Corvette, you know, because I don't bend fast, but I do have a turbo mode. That only lasts about an hour, and then I can't go any faster. But so is this your retirement plan? Is this like part of it?
I think so.
Okay, you're in Florida. You love the weather and the beach, and you sail also.
Yeah. That was the thing. It's funny too because talking to everybody at the org. So many people are into boating.
Yeah. Like
a lot of us techs are into like Brian. Brian has a sailboat.
Brian Nielsen. Yeah. And he's it seems like so many of us, like even Chris didn't go to Chris Ticini. He didn't come out to Texas, but I know he loves to fish on the Detroit River. Oh, so, on the what river?
I think Detroit River.
Detroit River.
Michigan. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, maybe one of the I don't know. Maybe one of the Great Lakes. I know he's always posting pictures. Phil.
Yeah, Phil.
He took me fishing. It was the smile that was on my face for months.
Yeah. Oh yeah. When he goes on his fishing trips.
Yeah, we caught. We caught huge fish. I forget what we were fishing for, but.
I think we saw those pictures in one of the meetings before the conference. We had weekly meetings like this, and he was showing pictures. We were all kind of jealous. And then Don Inman. Don Inman also has a boat, and so
Don Inman, before he even really knew me, he had taken me out on his boat when I first met him, years ago.
And my gosh!
Everybody's just so great. Like everybody who I've met in the org. Has been just so great, willing to share information and help each other out. And one of the things for a small lab like myself, especially that I'm in the garage, it's great to see what else is out there.
Yes. Yeah.
Like I have the forum printers. I never heard of was it called Hey Gears before?
Yeah. Hey Gears, who is a ORG sponsor. I didn't know much about them, just that they were a sponsor of our conference for a couple of years. And then Brandon was like, yeah, their printers are way fast and accurate and easy to use. So I'm like you. I just went with Form because that's everybody on the Facebook page. It tends to be what everybody used. It was easy to use and maintain and stuff. So...
You know what? Ruben Rosario from Rosario Orthodontics, he was the one who told me all about the form printers. And it's funny. My old boss, he had gotten out of the business. He said, "I'm not going digital. I'm not going digital." And now, for a small lab like me, it's a whole new revenue stream.
Oh,
charging for models and editing them, and it's a whole new job really for somebody.
Well, and I had a doctor just now switch over. He got a scanner, and he was like, "Okay, Cade, what is it to print and stuff?" And I was like, "Be honest with you, it's going to double your lab bill. Just putting it out there. Just don't sticker shock, but I got to charge you for the print because I'm used to getting free models, and now I have to produce the models out of thin air." And he was like, "I understand. I got to pay for the scanner, So unfortunately, I think the patient gets that passed on to them, but they don't have to get their impressions taken, which is nice.
I think the gag factor is a definite plus.
Yeah.
And you know what? Something I didn't mention was I don't have a model trimmer here. I don't have to worry about messing up my plumbing.
And I've installed one. I pulled one out of storage, and it's only because the model holder I have needs a trimmed model. So every time I get a stone model, I trim it so it fits in my model holder. That's the only reason I have one. And in fact, we didn't have one at Jason's lab when I worked for him. We used the hedge trimmers, or those nippers that you would use to trim your rose bushes. Yeah. And we clip, and there was like chunks of rock flying everywhere and all over the floor. It was a dirty way of doing it, but it worked without a trimmer. So I don't. We're not far until we start telling people about model trimmers, and they go, "What? What are those? Why'd you need those?" And how
study models? That's a whole that whole plaster study models. I guess it's kind of gone. It's gone away.
Yeah, And I saw Tiffany ask, where can I get ABO bases digitally, so I can print, because they still want physical models. But man, that digital model industry kind of died out. It seemed like it was really quick. I guess once AAO started accepting digital models, you stopped getting for their boards. You stopped getting requests for models, which I never thought of it as a money maker anyway. I don't know of any lab that really made money on it. Yeah.
And to forget about the plumbing if you're in your own house with that.
Oh yeah, we got plaster trap. Yeah, plaster trap and maybe a couple plaster traps, and then changing those out. Tell you what,
going back to 1984, working at the orthodontist office, we used to have a thing called barger boxes, and each patient had their own barger box, and they had the garage, and the garage was packed to the gills. I used to have to bring the boxes out there, and the garage was packed to the gills with God only knows what was in that garage, because I'm sure there were mice and all kinds of stuff running around. Now everything is on the cloud. Well, that's the main thing, is that with technology, I just take my scans every morning. I get a bunch, I print them, I wire them, I acrylic them, trim them, polish them, and ship them out.
That's well, okay. So and you're by yourself. So yes, do you set an amount for you each day?
I used to. Like a lot of the people, and I'm not trying to be a wise ass to anybody. A lot of people say, "Oh, how many do you bend an hour?" Or "How many do you do? What's your lab pushing out?" And I'm just happy to survive the day.
I'm saying, okay, I don't feel so bad now. It's like I did one thing.
Like, I'm not real fast at bending.
Oh same here.
I'd rather have it done right the first time, and I never want to get any cases back from anybody.
Right.
I'm not the best technician in my lab. I'd definitely say Leslie is.
Right. Yeah.
So, there are, but I'm in business now almost 28 years. July 8th is my 28th anniversary.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome. So, okay, we forgot to where we're going to insert your picture with your. Is it leather jacket?
It's a leather jacket. Oh, I have to just tell you the broom test.
Okay. All right.
And this might also work for you guys who own the big labs. My boss handed me a broom, and he said, "All right, sweep up." And I said, "Well, I'm here for the retainer job. I want to make retainers." He goes, "Yeah, well, the sweep test is the attitude test." I said, "Aptitude?" He said, "No, attitude." I said, "Well, I got a good attitude. I'll do anything."
All right. Go to.
You know what? My old boss would use that test a lot for people. People who would give him a hard time about, well, I don't want to sweep. Well, then you're not working here.
Oh, wow. That's a great test. Yeah. Yeah.
If you have good hands, if you're artistic and you have a good attitude, I think that goes a long way in the ortho lab.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. Yeah. I'm sure both of us, and I haven't hired really anybody outside from my own lab. I'm training my sons, but whenever I was working for Jason and they'd bring in people to work, you could just tell right off their attitude was not going to work. They did not like being told, hurry up, you're doing it wrong.
Right.
You could just tell, and it didn't take long, and then they left on their own. We didn't really have to fire anybody.
Right.
You just pushed them too hard. Some people were like, hey, bring it on, and some people were like, no, I'm not going to do that. So that's definitely this industry. Will filter out the good employees from the bad for sure. So yeah, that's cool. We're running low on time.
Okay.
But I do appreciate you. Is there anything? Okay, so let's talk about do you have a retirement plan yet? You're happy where you're at?
I was very, very attentive on Phil's lecture.
Oh, yes.
Strategy or I'm not quite sure. It is very difficult trying to run the lab in Jersey from Florida.
Yeah.
I think
but you don't regret being in Florida.
Well, you know what? Jersey didn't get any snow at all this year. It snowed. They had one snow flurry. That was it.
Oh my gosh!
I do go up there. I go up to Jersey once a month to check. I work in the lab for a week, and I also see my kids.
Oh, excellent! Yeah.
Yes. I get homesick either way. I get homesick when I miss my wife and my house down here and my dog, and but I also miss my kids and the people I work with. And I love being in the Jersey lab because I'm more comfortable there.
Well, you said before you liked being with people.
I like
to work and being with people. Yeah.
Yeah. Except if I'm getting yelled at about remake charges or.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's like.
That's another thing. Another good thing about the scans is that there's no the alginate doesn't dry up, or the impression hasn't gone bad over Memorial Day weekend or whatever.
Right. I always thought of it as when they take impressions, there's two opportunities for the assistant, whoever, to mess up. It's taking the impression, and then they can mess up pouring. It could be a beautiful impression. They could put all these air bubbles in it and not finish or. So there's two steps. So at least the scanning eliminates, one of them. That now the only problem is if they don't get a complete scan of something. Or
at least then you can show them. You can show them on, on the screen. Hey, take a look at this. Even if you use your iPhone and take a picture of it, say, you want a full palette, but you only gave me a horseshoe model. What are we going to do? Yeah,
and there you go. There's that technology thing. You wouldn't be able to run the lab you're running right now without this technology. You're one of the ones that were thankful for the technology to come, and not one of the ones that said, "I'm going to retire before this thing hits."
Right, exactly. And you know what? My wife is working remotely also. She works for a company in Manasquan, New Jersey, and with COVID, everything changed. I think with COVID.
Yeah.
And I never would have had this crazy idea in my head to run a lab in New Jersey while living in the sunny Florida.
Yeah, that's just cool. I think that's really neat. And kudos to your team that you had faith in them that they could run it by themselves up there.
Oh, you know trust what? Them. I mentioned Damon and I mentioned Leslie, but I didn't mention Kelly, who takes care of all my acrylic work, and she's incredible. And the lady who runs my office, Mary, who's absolutely incredible. We're definitely at my meetings that I have with them. And when I came back from Texas, I'm like, you guys, we got to meet. I was so excited when I came back from the org. And I said, I try to run the business like a family, but it's definitely, most families I know are dysfunctional.
Yeah.
So I think I'm the crazy uncle.
Yeah, there you go. you take all the crazy, and nobody else has to be crazy.
Exactly.
So it's good sometimes.
I mean, moving to Florida and running the lab in Jersey it's very risky, but so far it's August will be a year, and it's okay. Everything's good. Knock on wood.
Yeah. Have you picked up any doctors in your area of where you're at? Or you just all New Jersey doctors?
Just my old clients from Jersey. I probably should try to get a couple of guys, a couple of accounts down here, but I haven't really ventured out yet.
That talking about technology being able to allow this opportunity for you, there's probably so many big labs that would love to have smaller hubs, but you're able to do this with a handful of employees, probably move quicker on this than a big lab could, to be able to separate out and have labs up and down the west. I think there's an example, Bonadent, I believe, is Crown and Bridge or a full service lab. They're one of those that have like the exercise room, a gym in the lab, and they have like dry cleaners in the lab. Like you can bring your stuff and do dry clean. And they have a lunch room. They're trying to do the whole Google thing, provide lunch for their employees and stuff. And I think they have one up the East Coast and then one in Florida. And I think they're doing the same thing where a hurricane hits Florida, everything gets shifted up.
Right.
Hurricane Sandy hits up there, everything shifts down. So you're jumping and jiving.
Another kudos to Don Inman when we had Sandy hit, him and a bunch of other labs, and I don't remember who else, but they said, hey, if you guys are in trouble, we'll be more than happy to take your work. Not take your work, but to help you out with it.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. That and to almost close this up, I think we both feel the love at the conferences. Being able to talk and I like doing these podcasts because I get to learn about everybody's story, and everybody's got a different story, but we all have the same problems. We all came from different locations, and especially with technology, with 3D printing and digital and stuff, there were a lot of us labs that were just absolutely lost. And so where did we turn? We went to like Facebook, and people started sharing there. And I think that's really where all this started from. We all had our little niche. We had DLAT in Texas, and then Don had the Wiki, WKE, and there was Leone Labs. And so big thanks to Christopher Jajewski for stepping up and saying, let's just make this national. Let's combine all these together just at the right time when digital, when we all needed help with digital and we couldn't be in our hidey hole and try to figure it out ourselves the whole time.
I think it was Facebook that I met Ruben Rosario from Rosario Ortho. I met Chris. I met a guy from I forgot his name. He owned Red Orthodontics in Philadelphia or outside Philadelphia. Because where I was in Barnegat, I was about an hour and a half outside Philly. So I wasn't not competitive with the Philly guys, and I wasn't really competitive with the New York City guys either. Just not being down the shore doing my own thing,
Well, I'm so surprised in that area how many labs are in Philly, New Jersey, New York. It really surprises me. And y'all don't. Yeah, a lot of y'all are friends with each other.
Yeah, well, that's Ruben Rosario was the one who introduced me into the 3D printing.
It's great in these associations to make friends and someone you can reach out to when you need some help.
Definitely. Facebook's been incredible.
Oh yeah.
Just for meeting even you guys, even meeting you, even before the org, I know that I had called you for help and you were terrific.
Oh yeah, good.
You had a wire bending cheat sheet or whatever, make a 90-degree angle, make a stop sign.
Yes. Yep. Make a heart.
Everybody's been terrific. Everybody who I've met, guys like me and you, or like Tiffany, or my friend Kelly. Everybody's just been terrific.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, and we're only going to get better, and I hope this podcast really helps out with really doing more connection and trying to get people to come to the conference next year. Oh, actually, here, let me put this up. I got to do a little bit of here we go. So people, if you want to be a part of being together in a conference and going over problems and successes together, learning new things, you learn more from the other attendees that are there than you really do from the speakers. Usually the speakers give you great information, but that sparks conversation among all the attendees that are there. So our conference is scheduled for 2024, April 5th and 6th. So block that out in your calendar. Go ahead and make your flyers you give to the doctor saying you're not going to be here. The flyers they throw away in the trash and don't pay attention to. Go ahead and make those. But we'll be in the Westin at Dallas-Fort Worth Airport, just south of Dallas-Fort Worth Airport. It's a free shuttle if you fly in. So we would love to see everybody there. But again, thanks for being a part of the podcast. Couldn't wait to hear your story. And you probably have the most unique setup lab I've ever seen. Definitely not classic.
Oh, let me just tell you one more thing. Anybody who wants to go on a houseboat, I have this dream of doing denture repairs on a houseboat in the Florida Keys.
Oh, that'd be great. Yeah.
And if the neighbors complain about the acrylic smell, you just pick up anchor and you go someplace else.
Oh, yeah. Just go upwind or downwind of them. Just go around the horn or the cape. That'd be great. So you do have a houseboat. Is that what you do on the weekends?
No. That's a dream.
Oh, that's a dream.
Because I've read an LMT a long time ago about these guys that had a like an RV, and they were doing denture repairs in the RV for their clients.
Yes. Yeah, there was a couple guys here in the Metroplex that did that. They're called Mobile Dental Lab, and they'd drive up into the dentist parking lot, and the assistant would run out with the impression, and that he's like, "Come back in 30 minutes," and they do repairs right then. But yeah, that'd be great. Just a houseboat, and you just wherever you need me to go.
Yeah, just get the Jimmy Buffett going, keep the blender running.
Yeah. Oh, that sounds great. We should
fishing pole with a bell on it.
We need to have an ORG conference in Florida one of these years, and just include that all you guys in Florida that know how to have fun on the water.
Yeah. Well, you know what? With the business though, is less time on the water and more time polishing.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. But then you got to have your garage needs to point toward the water, so you can just open up the doors and while you're pumiceing and polishing, you just look outside. I get to look at ducks and chickens.
I hear the roosters.
Yep, which we did hear them before we started. But again, thank you again for joining the podcast, and I'm going to go ahead and end it here. And I will see everybody in the next one. Thanks again for joining the ORG podcast. Bye, Charles or Chuck. And
okay, thank you.
And we'll definitely do this again. You'll have to give us an update.
Sounds good.
All right.
Thank you.
Bye. Bye.